You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Posture Screen, Imaging Services, Mahalo Wellness, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiro Moguls, Local Gold, Chiro Thin, McCaffrey's Clinical Mentoring, Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt DeDuro, and Chiropractic Rocks. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 146 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host Luke Millette. Here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Sean Drake. And if you want to know more about sports and performance within the chiropractic profession, stay tuned. This is another episode of Chiro Hustle, episode 146, right, Luke?
Yep.
And we have Sean Drake with us today. And for those of our audience that might not know who you are, Dr. Sean, tell everybody your chiropractic story and why you got into the chiropractic profession.
Yeah, Jim, thanks for having me. Luke, thanks. Appreciate it. It's good to always support you guys. You're doing a lot of really good work, so especially in this time, thank you. Just to give you an idea, I was at Florida State. I was going to go into ROTC for flight, and I got in a really bad car accident my junior year. Basically developed ulcerative colitis, went through a lot of anxiety. I was on Zoloft, Xanax, oxycodone, Percocet, you name it. That's pretty much what my life was towards the end of my time at Florida State. And because of that, I decided to go into more of the political route, went political science, economics, and moved to Tampa to go to law school. And that's when I met a chiropractor that absolutely changed my life. And because of seeing the chiropractor, the ulcerative colitis went away and my body started to heal and I started to function better. And he had me back to running when I was told I'd never run again. And I'm like, all right, well, you obviously did something that was amazing that nobody else could figure out. So I'm going to go to chiropractic school too. And I asked him, where did you go? He's like, well, first thing you got to do is you got to go visit 5 chiropractors, 5 PTs, 5 MDs, and 5 DOs. And if you still want to be a chiropractor at the end of that, I'll tell you how to, go to chiropractic college and which one to go to. So I went and did that, and through that experience, realized how amazing the chiropractic office was and how happy everybody was, and everybody was excited, and they were leaving, and it was just a really cool energy. And so I went back, obviously, and said, well, where did you go to chiropractic college? And he's like, yeah, I went to Life University. So I went to Life University, did prereqs, decided to do the sciences, and the rest is kind of history. So ended up at Life University, had a great education there, did a master's in sport injury management while I was there as well. Practiced in Mississippi, and then came back and helped them with their sports science stuff. So yeah, that was the start of it.
So now that you're here in the profession, what are some things that you would say makes you unique in the chiropractic space? Are you doing anything to set yourself apart from the rest of the crowd?
I think, everybody's unique in chiropractic. I mean, you guys have obviously interviewed, what was that, 149? This is whatever, is that right?
Yeah, and that's just the ones that hit like the record book of like our ticker for the show.
Yeah.
Back in 2018, I did 365 interviews in 1 year.
I was about to say, I remember when you started this, and I mean, if you go back and you really look at these webinars, chiropractors are absolutely amazing people. Everybody is truly unique, whether you think it or not. There's something that you do in your practice that nobody else does, and that's why you're great at what you do. I guess what people have kind of labeled me as is like a sports or performance type of chiropractor. Where I'm blessed to travel the world and educate people on systems on how to take care of rotational athletes, whether it be baseball, softball, tennis, golf. And then not only that, but now how to look at the human body and movement and how to use chiropractic more effectively to help that athlete be more efficient, more powerful, more consistent, and actually attain their goals. So it's been a really cool life.
So you're more into the performance end of chiropractic.
Yeah, well, this is what I always tell people. I say chiropractic is performance-based no matter however you look at it, right? If you change the language, instead of being like, oh, you're in pain, I'm going to get you out of pain, and you say, look, you're not able to function and show them a movement, and now you can do that, you're showing them increased performance. So we take that whole mindset of yeah, I understand that you're in pain. I understand that you're uncomfortable, but let me show you where your limitation might be and how you're living life. And then once you give that back to them through the adjustment, through the whole entire process, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it depends if, you know, it's a pregnant mother that wants to have a quicker delivery, you can impact her performance.
That's 100% performance, right? Our pediatric docs are like, to want to work with mom and kids, that's such a specialty.
Yeah, and you know, for you working with high-end athletes, you know, if you want to get a guy to drive a ball further, yeah, obviously they want to have their body functioning optimally.
Yeah, and then you got the mind and the body working together, right? And that's why chiropractic is so cool, is because you have other practitioners in other fields where they only work on the body, they don't connect that mind-body connection. And that's something that, like in chiropractic, we really get to see happen.
Well, I know, like currently speaking, and you've been doing a lot of work with, you know, talking to people where we are this day and age with this shutdown of our country and the world. A lot of chiropractors have been, you know, either marginalized for saying that chiropractors are making an impact on the nervous system and immunity. What would your messaging be to our audience about that topic specifically?
Well, I think there's other ways to approach this situation. I think that everybody is heated on so many levels right now, right? And one area that we can tackle very quickly is to be this essential healthcare provider, to take the pressure off of, one, our emergency rooms, two, urgent care, and the stress of that. And that shows a collaborative approach now with the allopathic model of saying, like, look, you know, we are primary, whether you want to say it or not, but we're primary care physicians in many states in the United States, right? And we know how to check the vitals. We know how to check the temperature. And if you do that along with it, well, if we can screen a ton of people and also be showing them how amazing chiropractic is, of course the adjustment is going to help them perform better. It's going to help their immunity because they're functioning better. And let's just face it. I mean, there's enough stuff to show the physiological effect on stress. So if we talk about how stressed out people are right now, let's just say even in the medical model of all they're having to deal with, and we can take a percentage of that off, we can reach a lot of people at the moment. So instead of saying, like, I'm going to boost your immunity, like, change the conversation to what people are hearing from everywhere else. Like, we're taking pressure to support that system. If you have a fever or blank, or you have some major symptom of not being able to breathe, or like you have pain in your chest, yeah, go to the emergency room. But if you're uncomfortable, you can't move, you got a little bit of discomfort in your neck, or maybe you're stressed out. Well, maybe the chiropractor is the first person to go to right now, because they can actually assess you, treat you, and actually adjust and get that to, like, calm down and put you back in parasympathetic. I mean, we'd have an amazing world compared to where it's at right now.
Yeah, one of the things I've been talking to a lot of docs lately is what you mentioned, that we're all more alike than we are different. And whether you're an allopathic practitioner or whether you're a healing by hands practitioner, we all have to realize that the medical professions are under a lot of stress right now.
Yeah.
And chiropractors are more essential and vital to our communities than ever, because most everybody doesn't think about chiropractic as where they should go for services to be rendered to them to be feeling good, or get checked, or do a physical exam, or do a temperature reading, or any of that stuff. And as you say, chiropractors are port of entry docs, and they're primary care physicians. We just do things, chiropractors do things a little bit different.
I think we do, but I think it's, unfortunately, we're all having to adapt right now, right? And, for some of my fellow chiropractors out there right now, like, hey man, I don't like to do orthopedic testing. I don't like, I don't have a thermometer in my office. I don't have a blood pressure cuff at the moment. Like, now's the time to just step up and be like, look, I'm going to do this and open this opportunity to my community, because it's service, right? And say, like, okay, well, I hope, when I see my patients, like, they know, a lot of them have actually come in with broken bones because they trust what I'm going to actually look at. And so I think a majority of our patients in chiropractic trust us way more than we think they do on areas that we don't even think about sometimes. And that's a really cool connection too.
Well, you went to Life, and there's that saying down there, there's nothing bigger than life.
It's true.
And there's nothing bigger than everyone's life right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that when we think about that type of approach, there's nothing greater than there's also the other approach that chiropractors have been saying for a long time, is there's never been a better time to be a chiropractor. I don't know how many times I've seen that, like, that one message projected from the stages that I've been to, all the seminars that I've gone to. There's never been a better time to be a chiropractor than now. Yeah.
Well, I think what's really neat about being a chiropractor at this very moment is that, they were not listed off as a non-essential. Like, like, we should look ourselves in the mirror and be like, you know what, like, we got this. Like if you're even struggling and you're like, you know what, I'm going to close the office. Like I get it, but make sure that people know that if they need you, they got you. And then if you're going to have your office open, just make sure you have a system and a process of one, staying on top of like what it takes to clean right now. And I know that some people are like, I don't know if this is real. Some people are like, it is. Like I say, let's just go by the global, at least recommendations on how to keep an office clean. Number one. Number two, constant communication. Like I think it's really important for our chiropractors right now to be doing what you, Luke, and Jim are doing, like I'm trying to do, is getting information out to your patients every single day. Like give them a tip on how to stay healthy in this situation. Show them through your lifestyle that you're showing up to the office. Like chiropractors should be going on Instagram Live right now and being like, look, I'm here to take pressure off the system. If you need us, I'm here. Like I think that's the message we really need to be saying. You know, I've sent a message out to a lot of people here in San Diego and said, look, like I know that I don't practice full time here, but if you need me to step in your practice, I'll come and help adjust if you need it. Like that's what we need to be doing.
Well, that's what you even told me before we started doing this interview. If I need support, you'll help me with any way that you can to promote the hustle movement. So, you know, that's just your nature. You're a very helpful individual. I think that's so much about all chiropractors.
Yeah.
It's not like us against them, it's us with each other. And I think that we need to start banging that drum more consistently. I do think that every chiropractor has like their unique proposition of what they do. But chiropractors are all chiropractors for that reason. That word is the tie that binds. And I think that people need to go back to the basics again and realize why they became a healer and why they became a doctor. And yeah, we do need to disseminate high level information consistently. And it can't be like, oh gosh, I just woke up and I'm thinking I'm going to make a video this week sometime. No, we have to like say, we're going to be on a schedule now. We're going to go Instagram Live now. We're going to go YouTube Live now. We're going to go Facebook Live now. And we need to develop a whole core of content that we're going to go relentless. And we're going to develop content right now that's going to impact my community. Maybe somebody's on at 8 a.m., yep. Right? Maybe somebody's on at noon. Maybe somebody's on at 8 p.m. So we need to do, like when Hustle first was established, we were doing morning editions, noon editions, evening editions. So I think that every chiropractor out there right now needs to be mindful of their production and say, hey, we're going to just put out content. We're going to say, hey, if you haven't come in a while, we'd love to see you. We'd help to have you come in, bring your family in, and we'd love to take care of the whole community. If you know somebody that's struggling with something, send them in. Have that be like your name and then your call to action. And then you can talk about whatever you like to. You can talk about why you do juicing, why you do smoothies, why you do workouts, why you meditate, anything. But the last thing you should always close with was, hey, my name's Dr. Sean Drake. If you have anything going on with your health you'd like to get checked for, come in. This is our phone number. This is the call to action. We'd love to see you. Do that 3 times a day. Your clinic will not drop.
I 100% agree with you. And so many people don't do it. So many. And I don't know if it's fear. I think there's a lot of people that are being forced to adapt right now. They're starting to see that, okay, there is a virtual world. I think that's an important concept, right? Number 2 is, you know, there's a lot of things that you can be sharing with your patients mobility wise, like corrective exercises, mindfulness, being able to teach them how to like meditate right now. Even just getting on, like you just said, Jim, where you're on one time a day that they can trust, they can get on and feel like they're connected to you. Right now, connection is a major thing that people are missing. And in quarantine, in order to stay sane, we've got to have community. We've got to be able to have a supportive community, not a community like a bunch of crabs. We're pulling each other back into that boiling pot, right? Like we've got to be supportive right now. And we've got to say, okay, cool. Like even if I have differences with somebody, I'm putting that aside because number 1, the profession, we need to keep it up to a high level. Number 2, our patients deserve us to be there to serve, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they need right now.
So do you have any favorite motivational quotes, mantras, or words of wisdom that you use to keep yourself fired up every day?
Yeah, I think being humbled every day just by like realizing how good my life really is. Like that's one, like waking up and realizing how blessed I am. And a good buddy of mine is staying with me through quarantine right now. And he's really taught me because I'm so like, go, 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 go. He's like, dude, in this moment, all your needs are met. Like, you just need to understand that. Like, at least in this moment where we're at, all your needs are met and not having to stress or worry about anything in the future. By understanding that if all my needs are met right now, I can continue to be better. I can continue to grow. I continue to love myself. And then the second one, it's been since high school. I got this gift for being the student body president from the head of the advisor, and she gave me this plaque, and it said, leadership is not about position, it's about action. And, it was a humbling moment, because it was like, I have to be this person, or I have to do that. And she's like, no, it's about how you serve every day. That says who you are. And it doesn't matter a position or not. Like, you just need to go into every single day and just serve. And so when I went to Life University, and the whole thing was just give to love to serve to do, it was just like another God wink, yep, you're in the right place.
Yeah, those are really good for people to ponder upon, because I think right now we do have very blessed lives. Mm-hmm. And we might be very confused and hyper needy, as we have to do this, we have a checklist of this, we have to go here, we have to make sure we get our certification for this, we need to book travel to here, we need to make sure we connect with this person, get on their show. We're very hyperactive in our mindset of not calming down. And I think that some of those things, that's what gives people leadership opportunities, is the ones that can manage that storm of responsibility, or that the checklist idea lifestyle, and they can compartmentalize that and come out the other side and manage it. Because right now we are, they call it input aphasia. Right now we are bombarded with messaging. Right now we have things that are tracking us and finding out what we search for. Like one of the things that we're talking about is disseminating information. Well, right now we're under censorship too. So, a lot of the things that we're talking about are very current to what's happening in our current society. Is, leadership, it's done by action, not by position.
Totally. And I think just looking at the people that you also surround yourself with, right? I think that's a key concept. And even within chiropractic, or even at home right now in quarantine, Dr. Alex Vidana is one of my best friends, and him and I are doing some stuff together right now to help out these chiropractors that are stressed out, or what do we do? We're trying to disseminate that information, because there is so much stuff coming out, whether it's from the federal or the state level of your board. But you look at Alex, and Alex it's not about position for him. He's obviously an action oriented serving type person. And it's because of guys like him and Billy DeMoss and our entire group that just pushes each other to be better. And we're constantly calling each other out and challenging each other, because it's look, are you on mission for humanity, or are you on mission for yourself?
Yeah, I think all that stuff's really relevant, and the cultural conversation around all of this is necessary right now, because a lot of people, one of the things that I've become known for is scheduling in tons of people for chiropractic visits. And I tell people that I meet out there in the marketplace that most of the time people don't take action for themselves, because number one, they don't know where to go. Number two, they don't know who to trust. Now, I've solved those things for people. So when it comes to the chiropractic conversation, we need to just let people know out there that are watching and listening to what we do, is that chiropractic is very safe, it's very affordable, it's very effective, and it's very trustworthy. And more people are going to be in demand for this type of service, as they realize that the other types of healthcare professions might not have time for them.
100%.
So the demand is going to go up for the natural healer.
I truly believe that. And I also think that, a lot of us have been sleeping, and, there's been a lot of people preparing. There's been a lot of our profession sleeping, and we're going to be in for a rude awakening of the amount of people that are going to want to come in, or need to come in. You look at what just sitting down from one day of work does to your body, gravity-wise, on the spine, right? And then you put that now into 7 days being locked in a facility or a place that they have never been in for longer than 48 hours. Think about that. The average person, PTSD, stress, anxiety. Then you look at the rates of child abuse and domestic violence. Child abuse has gone up by 70% in the United States since 2 weeks ago. Child abuse. That's not sexual abuse, that's child abuse. Now you look into domestic violence, that's gone up a crazy amount. I'm not gonna give you the exact stat, but if you just go type in domestic violence and child abuse right now, it's insane the amount of numbers that have gone up. And we want to think oh my gosh, how do we help these families and these parents understand their situation? Well, I can tell you right now, most of my chiropractic friends, I don't see that happening. You see them posting online with happiness, creative ideas for their kids. They're growing, they're exercising, they're getting adjusted, they're living these 5 pillars of life. And that's what the chiropractor needs to be showing right now. Look, we need to be moving as a family. We need to be learning as a family. We need to be growing as a family. and being that feeder of education.
Yeah, the things that you're saying make so much sense to connect the dots for our culture. And you're right, when people don't have the tools and the skill sets of having unity at home, there is going to be disarray. And that's the problem, is people have become so disenchanted with family unit that they like to go to work and they like to have avoidance and they like to send the kids to school and they like somebody else to tell their kids what to do, and then they can reprimand because they didn't do what somebody else told them to do. And we're so off base with when it comes to like creating a holism at home, that now we are like self-imposed into these units that people don't know how to interact with each other, and they're up underneath each other, and people don't know how to behave, and they're not eating right, and they're not like communicating properly. And you can't send messages to people when they're right across from you. You actually have to have a conversation with them. You have to learn how to play. And I think that those things are, they're not so common. And I think this segues us perfectly into the next topic, is what would it be like if all those families that were having this disarray at home were actually under chiropractic care? What would be happening right now?
Well, I mean, I think number one, I don't think we'd see an increase in cases of coronavirus. Number two, I think we'd see a very different energy on social media. I really do. I think that we would definitely see a different energy on social media. And number three, I think that we would have less people with worry and stress, and we'd actually have people excited and looking at this opportunity as a time to grow. Like, you know, those, I don't think you can speak anything more than those three things.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Posture Screen, Imaging Services, Mahalo Wellness, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiro Moguls, Local Gold, Chiro Thin, McCaffrey's Clinical Mentoring, Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt DeDuro, and Chiropractic Rocks. Let's hustle.
So where do you see the profession of chiropractic going in the next 20 years?
Well, if you would ask me that 2 weeks ago versus now, it's very different, right? Like,
Yeah.
Because I get goosebumps, Luke, that you just freaking asked that, man. Wow, that's a really tough question. And it's kind of an emotional question, because I'm thinking about where we'll be in 20 years because of the situation, right? Like, this is like eats up my soul for a second. I think in 20 years, compared to where we were 2 weeks ago, if I was just to look at how we're handling this situation from the college level, the state boards level, let's assume, and I hate to assume because it's always making asses out of each other, but let's say that we do this right, that we step up as a profession, which I think a lot of us are doing, and we really showcase like the talent that we have beyond what people think is just getting racked and cracked or, you know, being pushed on. And we calm the community and we get involved in the community and we collaborate with our community. I think we're going to be way, way more far ahead than we would have been 2 weeks ago. I really believe that. If we drop the ball and we try to fight the system right now, and we try to fight everybody versus trying to work with them in a trauma situation, I think it can put a lot more stress on the profession long term. So looking at it from those two perspectives, like, you know, we don't have to cave into a different philosophy or ideology, but this is an opportunity for us to collaborate and really, really give back from a very loving, serving way to support. And even though we may have some people might have a different opinion, but if we can collaborate right now, that's when everybody's boat will rise, and we'll definitely be able to accomplish a lot more.
What you said, I think we could touch on a few topics inside that, because the approach to what's happening right now is we're looking at numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at numbers, there's winners and losers.
Yep.
And the ones that are losing are the ones that are not surviving. And those people are in the medical model.
Yep.
And I just hope that as we develop as a chiropractic culture, that we don't get a few sensational cases of people say, hey, I went to the chiropractor and this happened to me and I got sick with coronavirus. So we just need to be very safeguard approach of saying, hey, look at the scoreboard. The people over there that are inside of that allopathic model, there's a lot of death over there. Chiropractors are doing their damnedest to keep people healthy. And let's give them some credence to say, hey, you do go forth and serve and you do take care of people. And there is a risk with that. But that's why you are a doctor, And I think that that's what we have to position ourselves with is let's hopefully that something doesn't happen or go awry to where they try to make some type of an example of chiropractors for practicing and a few people slip through and do, have some complications with their health. And let's focus on the good of it all and say, you know what, it's common that if you get somebody that comes in time after time, they're going to get a headache again. If somebody comes in with an injury because they were in an accident, yeah, they could have a disc injury and it doesn't get better all overnight. So somebody could come in with some type of a case and say that, 2 weeks down the line that they develop symptoms. Yeah, because the body does have sickness and injury and infirmary inside of it. So there is, propensity to have people have issues. So yeah, I just hope that we're on the offense.
Oh, totally. And I think we even look at this from a whole different perspective, because if you look at Amazon right now, they have 2 warehouses that have tons of coronavirus going on. They're actually having to shut down. Frito-Lay just shut down. You've got several other companies that are shutting their doors because they have a case of it, right? Our fire department down the road has a case of coronavirus. So to say for them to even hold anybody accountable professionally right now, I don't think that's going to be the route that people are going to go. I do think, however, if say for instance, someone comes in your office and you're not checking their temperature right now, and that's what's being mandated at any other level, you may miss something. Because that's an opportunity to say, look, you've got a high fever at the moment. Let's go ahead and refer you over to urgent care to get checked. That's a screening opportunity that a ball we don't want to drop. You know what I mean? That's like someone walking in with an aneurysm and we don't even check for it. And all of a sudden, it bursts in our office, and it would have burst anywhere, right? Or it burst when they walk out the door. It would have burst anywhere. They would have gotten in their car and hit their brakes too hard. But it was a fact that you didn't check. And right now, in a very high stress, high awareness world, we're being looked at on how we respond to this situation and how we respond as doctors of chiropractic. I think it's important to just go, like you said, Jim, go back to basics. Get the blood pressure cuff out right now. Get a thermometer. Make sure you have a way to clean it. Just check your patients. It takes 2 seconds to put a thermometer in somebody's mouth or their ear. We have ear ones as well, and you can just throw the other one away, clean it. But let's be diligent. Let's use the skill sets that we have. Let's be the excellent collaborators that I know we can be. And more importantly, just continue being badass chiropractors.
So do you have any favorite key marketing strategies to spread your information to your fan base?
I don't really, I know it sounds weird. I don't worry about a fan base. I worry about affecting one person, and hopefully that does something, right? Because there's so many inorganic and organic fans if you start to look at that. So what I would say marketing wise is, number one, people need to know what your passion is. They really do. You got to know your passion. You got to live it. That needs to be your lifestyle, right? The next thing is the biggest marketing advice I've been giving to every single doctor, and Dr. Vidana and myself are going to show you guys how to do this in your local community. But if I was in practice and I had my own building and I was open, I would call every single urgent care and try to speak to one of the doctors on staff and just be like, I'm here for you. Be like, you know what? I just want to let you know I'm open. We're essential healthcare providers. To take pressure off of you, if you've got anything that you know that I can take care of, I'm here to help you. Here are my hours. By the way, here's my cell. If you've got an emergency case, I'm here to support you and your staff. And by the way, any of your staff that's stressed out or needs an adjustment or needs to be worked on their off hour, have them stop by my clinic. That right there, number one, it's just like in 9/11, I get goosebumps. I remember the first day at Life University when I saw the table that was outside the trade centers right after they went down, and they were adjusting all the firemen and the EMTs and all the people that were helping out. Let's be that again. Let's tell them we're there to support them. Don't worry about the financial side on helping them, but I promise you it'll come back way, way bigger. So those would be the 2 pieces of advice I'd say right now.
Back to the basics, give, love, serve.
Yeah.
That's power. That's powerful. So do you have a favorite app or technology to stay engaged with your patients or practice members?
Instagram's a big one for me, just communication wise, because I'm all over the place. To me, I use WhatsApp. I think that being international, I think that's just a really good thing. It can be coded to where people can't break into it, even though technically people have now. And then, I'm blessed. I have a very unique practice. I use the phone a lot. I speak to my clients on a regular basis. I do go-to meetings. I do Skype, Huddle. I do a lot of their video on V1. They may send me a golf swing or a baseball swing, and I go and analyze that with their body when they're on the road. So for me, that's kind of what I use, the basics. I'm not really big. You need to tell me what I need to use is what I need to ask you guys. What do you think some of the best, ways to do that right now?
I think everybody should be starting podcasts. I think
Yeah.
they should do live streams. I think what you would probably benefit most from is finding other professionals in different arenas and interviewing them and co-branding with other professionals that are working in those spaces that you enjoy and co-branding your message with other influencers. That's how I would probably tell you to make more of an impact. Start a podcast and start interviewing other people that have similar lanes as you that you want to make a movement with going forward. I always tell people, all the people that we've interviewed, if I were to call up Alex on Friday and he was picking up his family from, school, or if he was like taking somebody to the grocery store, he would take my call.
Mhm.
So what you can do is build brand awareness as a social equity when you pay attention to people and let them tell their stories.
100%.
And story is the most powerful thing that we have access to right now. And that's really why podcasting was so inspirational to me, is I knew if I could tell 365 stories in 1 year, I was going to co-brand myself with 365 influencers and professionals and people that were making moves that had something to say.
Totally.
So that would probably be my best advice to somebody like yourself. If you're not doing that, then connect with the audience at large and start co-branding with other influencers.
And I think that's something that, we've got the virtual brain trust that we started a week ago, and it's just to give a platform for people to come on right now and educate through passion. And Jim, you're going to be on there with me talking about some ideas for docs. And I think it's one of those times where you can't have the excuse to sit still and sit back. Like, we're being forced, and there's law of adaptation within the 33 principles, right? And so like you start to look at that, and the principle of time is so relevant to now. There's no process that does not require time. And right now we're being given time. Like, when in life are we ever going to be given time again like this? We may not, the financial side of it might not be there, but when are we ever going to be given this to have that opportunity to really go forward and take our message even bigger now? Because now people see that the virtual world is real.
Well, once again, back to the basics: science, philosophy, and art.
Yeah.
Like, if the chiropractor doesn't have the boat and both the oars, and they're going to be swimming in a circle. So we need to make sure that we equip people with the science to know how you can step into your space and say, yeah, we do make an impact, and these are the reasons why. Yeah, we do have a philosophy, and that's what makes us unique and different than any other medical professional out there. And yes, we do have art, and each of us do have a different style of adjusting, and our techniques are all different. So in order to like hit the mass at large, chiropractors have to go back to the basics and say, yes, we do have the triune: science, philosophy, and art. And yes, we do help thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And yes, we do relieve chemical and emotional stress. So I think all of that stuff has to be packaged the right way with each practitioner. That's why we ask people what sets you apart in the chiropractic space, because every chiropractor does a little bit different.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
So we really have to go back to the basics on all of this. And that's why we asked that first question: what's your chiropractic story? What influenced you to become a chiropractor? Because if we don't talk about the fundamentals, then somebody never gets a chance to really know you.
You're right. And I think that's the biggest thing. And not only that, but people love to be asked about their story, like you said, and to hear their name. And, there's so many chiropractors out there that have the story and that they have it. They just have never had a platform to be able to do it.
And that's why we, grew like so rapid when we started this out 3 years ago, because we were doing something unique. We were letting people own the space. And it's not about my message. I could talk for 10 hours straight. And sometimes I do. But it's about your ability to connect with the audience that we've created. And I think that that's what we have to do, is use our social equity and use our co-brand ability and do something that really matriculates your messaging to help people connect with not only us, but with you, but the chiropractic message at large. And I think that that's what we've been able to do, is if anybody wants to win the game, don't look at the first 10 episodes that you'll do. Look at the first 100 episodes that you'll do.
That's a good way to look at it. That's awesome, buddy. Any other?
Well, tell us about you a little bit personally now. What do you listen to? What books are you in the middle of reading? And what are some of your hobbies?
Yeah, so I think some of the things that I'm listening to right now, I've been doing a lot of meditation listening, actually. That's been one, because like I am not used to sitting still. So I'm having a really hard time with this quarantine. So I've really been listening to a lot of that. I've been doing a couple different DVDs on emotional health right now. In fact, give me one sec. I'll show it. I think it's worth showing. Basically, it's like it's a neuro retraining system for the brain. And so starting that, and I think, to me, it's one of those things where listening to a lot of yoga, a lot of basically just calming down. That's been the biggest thing for me these past 2 weeks. Is normally I'm all about podcasts and like audiobooks, and now I'm like, man, I'm forced to slow down and take a look at, why I may react certain ways to certain people or how I react to situations. So this is one of the first things that a friend of mine is like, Sean, I think, you have some downtime. I think you should focus on this. So that's what I've been doing on that. Books wise, I'm kind of going back through a couple of The Bigness of the Fellow Within. I actually just pulled that back out and read the story of that something. I'm reading it every day because I think if you haven't read that, you need to read it. I think it's one of those stories when I was in pledge at, in Delta Sigma Chi, that when I read and being involved in my club, it was just like, that story is so profound for right now that everybody has that something inside of them and they just need to be reminded of it and they need to be given the opportunity to show it. So that's what I'm doing. And then I'm finishing up a couple different certifications right now since I have the extra time. It's kind of where I'm at.
So what are some social media links and websites people can visit to find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, Dr. Sean Drake on Instagram, SeanDrake. That's my Facebook as well, Sean Drake on Facebook. If you're interested and you want to get involved with sports performance and you want to work with baseball players or softball players, On Base University, we have 2 courses, hitting and pitching, and then fast pitching is coming out very soon. So those are really cool because it teaches you as a chiropractor how to break out the athlete for sports-specific movement, and then characteristics and how to speak to the coach, and we give you a whole system on how to correct it. Same with tennis, a racket fit, and then my TPI is the golf side of what I get to help out with from the Titleist Performance Institute. Other than that, you can reach out to me on my cell, DM on Facebook, but I'm an open book. Like that's the biggest thing about serving and giving back to our profession is if any doc ever reaches out to me and says, hey, how would I do this? I don't question it. I'm just there to help them. So those are pretty much the easy ways to reach out to me. My emails, just use Sean, SEAN, Drake, DRAKE, DC @gmail.com. And that'll go to my personal one.
So at this juncture, is there anything we didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Not actually, you guys always do such a great job. I think the biggest thing that I'd want to say if I've got a minute is, really take time, to get back to your why. I love that you brought that up a second ago, Jim. It's kind of, this has shown me how much I miss being in full-time practice. And, I travel 50 plus weeks a year as well. I was on the road 54 weeks last year. Sorry, not 54. I'm such a crazy dude sometimes. I was on 47, I apologize. I have 52 weeks in a year. But this has really shown me that I need to get back to getting my hands on patients on a regular basis and helping out my buddies that are in practice. And when I'm, home, actually seeing more and more patients. It's been eye-opening. Let's put it that way.
Well, we want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to be our guest. And thank you for sharing your knowledge and your passion and your heart. And it's really amazing to connect with you. And I can't wait till we can do something like this again. And I look forward to being a guest on your show.
Thanks, brother. I mean it. Anything you need from me, I'm here for you. And know that you're definitely loved by our community, buddy. You too, Luke.
Nice meeting you, Dr. Sean.
Cheers, guys.
All right. We want you to have a good rest of your day, okay?
All right. Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.